Rain and CSLB Chair Granzella, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. First of all, thank you for rejecting the outright prohibition on the C46 solar contractors from installing all energy storage systems. It's an unjustified, unnecessary, and incredibly damaging policy proposal to the solar industry and its workers. With regards to agenda item number 2, CALSA has offered to compromise proposals with a reasonable 1 megawatt hour and 600 kilowatt hour thresholds. To be clear, we stand firm behind the long track record of safe battery installations performed by C46 contractors. We've noted a number of times that our solar contractors have been installing energy storage safely for decades, and that neither CSLB or the UC Berkeley Labor Center have been able to identify a single incident. I want to note that the 50 kilowatt hour threshold, while it is not being established today, I appreciate that, but it is not consistent with established usage in the industry. It would harm our contractors and their workers and would impede state renewable energy goals. It's well established that C46 contractors install energy storage and grid-tied residential, off-grid residential and commercial systems. And our documents and letters submitted to you go through some factual data that I would ask that you take a look at. In closing, given that the CSLB has failed to identify any real as opposed to hypothetical safety issues with the work of C46 contractors, and given that in contrast, CSLB has been given ample data showing the C46 contractors are safely installing solar and energy storage systems, it would be irresponsible to upend licensing regulations now when hundreds of contractors have relied on this classification. We look forward to working with the board to arrive at a reasonable level of flexibility for the contractor community. I want to end with we dispute the statement made earlier that energy storage is not included in the license. Just to be clear, the C46 license is already authorized by the CSLB to install solar and energy storage systems. So with that, I'll end it there, and thank you very much for working with us.
Thank you. Our next comment comes from Janine Cotter. Janine, I've sent the request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks. First off, many thanks to the board. I know that you've spent a lot of time on this, and I really appreciate the board acknowledging the prevalence of C46 solar specialty contractors installing solar paired battery energy storage. Indeed, we have done it as an organization since our founding in 2004. My name is Janine Cotter, and I'm co-founder and president and C46 license qualifier for Luminalt, a majority women-owned solar and solar-paired battery energy storage design-build contractor based in San Francisco. I've been on the Workforce Investment Board of San Francisco, and I was appointed to that because of our commitment to diversifying the folks that are doing the work, and so we have many individuals that have nearly a decade of experience coming through that pathway, and basically their day job is solar and solar paired battery energy storage. In 2021, Luminalt installed 2.6 megawatt hours of battery energy storage paired with our solar systems. We were also highlighted in the New York Times for one of our installations, which was an off-grid 228 kilowatt hour battery energy storage system that is the only solar paired battery energy storage, which is the only way that this house has power, because the battery and the storage system are one. Storage systems are getting bigger as a result of decarbonization, and so I very much appreciate the board getting an expert involved to come up with a recommendation on the size assessment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next comment comes from Tom Enslow. Tom, I've sent the request to unmute your microphone.
NECA Labor Management Cooperation Committee. We support option 1, but we respect the desire to proceed with the second option and commit to participate in good faith in that proceeding to find a reasonable threshold standard. But as the board makes this decision, I want to remind them that CalSA's claim that this decision is going to disrupt industry or interfere with our state's energy state goals is simply not supported by the facts. This action would only affect the 341 C46 contractors who do not currently also have a C10 or A and B license, compared to the over 26,000 C10 and C46 contractors that are already authorized to install PV and battery energy storage systems, including the speaker who just spoke, Luminante, who do have a C10 contractor's license and can install energy storage. It doesn't impact them. Furthermore, a review of the state data and the installation of rooftop solar projects found that 94% of solar installations are performed by contractors that already hold an additional license that allowed them to install an energy storage system either separately or together. For solar paired storage projects, 97% of the energy storage is already installed by contractors that hold the appropriate license for installing energy storage. So, and these numbers are not surprising considering that the contractors holding only a C46 license represent less than 1.3% of the over 26,000 contractors that have license allowing for the installation of solar PV systems. So, the idea that the sky is falling just isn't there. It also will have no meaningful increase in cost to customers.
30 seconds.
Studies found that it would only cost about $100 more for a residential system, less than 1% of the cost. So, we strongly support solar and energy storage projects and reduction of greenhouse gases. We install these projects. What's before you is a typical contractor license scope questions. It's not going to have any detrimental impact on achieving our energy storage and greenhouse gas reduction goals. And the sky is not falling. And we hope that you can look past the rhetoric that is coming from the solar industry. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next comment comes from Steve Campbell. Steve, I've sent the request to unmute your microphone.
Me?
We can.
Okay. Thank you for allowing public comment on this topic. My name is Stephen Campbell, Senior Policy Manager at Grid Alternatives. Grid Alternatives is the nation's largest nonprofit clean energy and storage provider, exclusively serving disadvantaged communities and low-income families. In California, our work consists of building solar and storage systems for clients that want more resilient homes in more resilient communities. We serve affordable multifamily developments, commercial buildings, and households in cities, rural communities, and tribal communities. If the licensing regulations the CSLB adopts are too restrictive, that they would limit the size of the available workforce to install solar and storage technologies, there simply will be not enough people to do the work required to meet the state mandates that electrify our economy. As found in Senate Bill 100, we need a future build rate that is roughly 8 times faster than the historic build rate. At Grid, we have been safely installing solar and storage for low-income households for years. We have also tried to hire certified electricians for the last 3 years and have not been successful. Going back to the task ahead of us, needing to install 8 times more solar and storage than we have in the past. Barriers to that build rate create an equity issue. We want more investment in clean energy, certification, training in disadvantaged and environmental justice communities, but this regulation could create more barriers. We want more investment, not barriers.
30
Thank you, Board.
seconds. Thank you. And with that, I do not see any further requests for comment.
All right, thank you, Shelley. We've heard public comment. Any final board member comments? Shelley, I just saw a note from someone saying there's some public comment on the phone.
Yes, for those users that are call-in users, if you would like to make a public comment, you may dial *3 to raise your hand. Okay, we have a call-in user. I've sent the request to unmute your microphone.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Langenbaum, and I'm one of 250 people who work for Renova Energy in Palm Desert. I understand staff has been directed to research this issue further, but I'd like to point out that imposing any sort of limit for C46 licenses based on system size will unfairly discriminate against communities living in desert areas like the Coachella and Imperial Valleys. We have significantly higher loads in our area compared to the rest of the state and the country, not because people have bigger homes or make up the higher income bracket, but because temperatures hit over 120 degrees in the summertime. And many of our homes are older and we have much heavier loads to carry to maintain livable conditions. We are currently authorized to install solar and battery storage under our C46 license. So any changes to this would impose great difficulty for us.
All right, thank you.
And I'll just do one last call for any last comments. You can raise your hand. Calling users can dial *3 to raise their hand, or you can submit it through our Q&A and chat. Eddie Bernacchi, I see your hand is raised. I've sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you, Shelley. I appreciate it. I just want to chime in and say thank you to Chairman Granzella and to Board Member Teichert. They put in a lot of work to bring both industries together to work on some compromise. I still think there's a path forward on getting to a compromise on this issue. We are happy to work with the board and pursue a reasonable standard or scope that would allow for the continued installation for those individuals that only have a C46 contractor's license that is based in code. And so we would support the motion that's on the floor now, and thank the entire board for all the time and effort that they put in this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Shelley?
And with that, I do not see any other requests.
Okay, great. Once again, any board member comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, David Delatorre.
Yes, David.
Yeah, I just want to, the way I understood it, the way it was presented previously, it was between, I'd hate to say the word excluding, but yeah, it would exclude C46s from performing this BESS. How would it affect the A and B licenses? Would it affect them negatively, or would it affect them at all?
I can
That's my
answer
question.
that. I can answer that. This is Johnny. It wouldn't affect them at all.
Thank you. Can I get that in writing?
Any other board comments? Michael?
Thank you, board, committee chair Rain. Yeah, it is unfortunate a compromise couldn't be made because this is still ongoing. It did feel like at least one group was at least trying to make sure that there was the majority of the residential work was included. So going forward, at least so that there is a pathway and we get some experts to weigh in. So appreciate that.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, there's motion and a second on the floor. Mariah, please call the roll.
Susan Granzella.
Aye.
Frank Altamura. Rodney Cobos. Oh, approved absence. David De La Torre.
Aye.
Miguel Galarza, approved absence. Don Geritano. Alan Guy. Diana Love. Michael Mark.
Aye.
Steve Pinelli.
Aye.
Jim Ruane.
Aye.
Johnny Simpson. Mary Teichert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you once again, Mariah. That concludes our regulatory and legislative agenda for today's meeting. I will turn it back over to Chair Granzella.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jim, for your help on this and the presentation. So we are now moving to closed session to discuss pending litigation. This will be our last item for the day. This item is not available for viewing by the public. After closed session, we will briefly reconvene in open session and adjourn. I now ask that the webcast and phone meeting be turned off.